All right, welcome to Absurdist Asylum. I am Jason Velarde. I will be joined in studio by your other host, Jeff Hutchinson, and we will be talking about guilty pleasure movies and TV shows. Stick around for an interview later in the episode with the brewer from Lost Highway Brewery, and thanks for coming to the Asylum.
Let's start it like this.
I dig your inabilities is coming through to represent the rhyming and the cat and never hesitate to give you something better than the previous fluffy but then graffiti writers, DJs and the hungry rappers. We got type but once we crack the median to coexist immediately. Everyone is motionless till when we come to mediate we devastate. I hope you get the message. Way too cold to play with featherweight to mediocre mental states. We smoke them in a demonstration. So we'd like to thank y'all for checking out the show. And if you don't know by now you never know. Some are amateurs but we be pros. Abilities show 'em what I mean, bro.
God damn it, I don't remember. She said something that was the most crude thing I've ever heard a woman say. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, Jesus Christ. And then my friend shows up and I was like, dude, there's some drunk girl over there. And he turns and looks and he goes, is her name Victoria? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, she's in here all the time. Did she say it's her birthday? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, it's her birthday every fucking weekend. I was like, oh my God.
Sounds like you made a mate for life. So speaking of guilty pleasures, Jeff and his old ladies, we all have our guilty pleasures, movies or TV shows that we maybe have to a little bit or we're not exactly forthcoming with them. I know that I've got a few, and some of them I'm not exactly proud of. But today we're going to talk about movies that we love that we wouldn't exactly say if we weren't recording this for the public. So, Jeff, how are you doing today?
Well, Jason, let me tell you what. every day is just the best day of my life. It's just the best. Everything's great. How are you?
I'm actually very happy that you got your Prozac. You seem to be doing well.
It's your problems just go down the drain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like your life.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they say don't mix that with alcohol, but Jeff, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what you need. So, here's to the Prozac. Cheers. Raise your beer, raise your glass.
Here's to the Prozac. Where the fucking hose at? You know what I'm saying? Glug, glug, glug.
But on that note, guilty pleasures. Jeff, you want to flip a coin, or do you want to take the lead on this one? What you got for your guilty pleasure?
Well, I'm gonna start because I actually would say that 80% of the things that I watch regularly are things I would call guilty pleasures. But I think it's important to mention the criteria for being a guilty pleasure, because one thing that really irritates me is people referring to a movie that they say, oh, it's kind of like a guilty pleasure, or they say, it's so bad, but I love it. And it ends up being something that's like not actually bad. Like, for instance, Evil Dead. So, like, I'm a big Evil Dead fan. I don't call Evil Dead a guilty pleasure. I call Evil Dead a great movie.
Yeah.
While it's cheesy and, you know, it has its, you know, it has its quirks, it's not a guilty pleasure. A guilty pleasure is something like, I mean, just to start it off and give kind of example, my whole thing is like, this is more of a genre with specific examples, but it just encompasses a lot. Like, I have a fascination with video game movies, because even when they're terrible, I still kind of enjoy seeing how they interpreted it, even at its worst. So, like, with that, you have something like House of the Dead, which is a terrible movie that is not a guilty pleasure because it doesn't give me any sort of pleasure. It's just the goddamn worst. And so there's that, but then on the same token, there's something like Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Yeah.
Which I think technically, if you're looking at it very technically, I hate to say this, but House of the Dead is probably a better made movie in the technical sense than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But for some reason, I love Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Call it nostalgia or just masochism, or I don't know what you want to call it. But
You don't have to explain that one to me, because both of those movies are just like,
god awful.
dear God. they are bad, but in their day they were the like the ones you wanted to see.
Yeah, but House of the Dead, do you remember when that came out? Everybody hated that and said, don't see this. And I said, no, I'm sure it's fine. And god damn it, dude. It's just the worst.
Well,
But
I'm gonna have to IMDb House of the Dead real quick, but
it's
I was talking about the Mortal Kombat. I remember
yeah.
that end or whatever it was. I was
Yep.
into that because video game movies, the way you put it. So, being that, do you have a video game movie that you would describe as a guilty pleasure, or is it
Mortal
just
Kombat
this?
Annihilation is the main one.
Okay.
Because I think that's the perfect example because that really is just a atrocious movie. Like it really is. But the things that I personally love about it are a lot of the things that I think people hate about it. But I also I'm a really big fan of Mortal Kombat. That's my favorite game franchise.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't played the new one because I'm always like a generation behind the times. But anyway, I love the terrible costumes. I love the just shitty sets that they have, like that set where Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight is just the worst. I love the terrible dialogue that it has, and I really love the asinine story of the realms merging and everything. And it gives like a very Power Rangers style tone to it, which is odd for Mortal Kombat because it should be this bloody, horrific thing. But it makes me feel like I'm watching Power Rangers, and on that same level, I love it. I think a lot of this, though, is based in nostalgia, which I always try and veer away from when I'm watching a movie like that because I don't want my judgment to be clouded. But when it comes to Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I just don't fucking care. Like, I'll watch that until the end of time. I've seen that, I mean, easily 100 times. That's not even an exaggeration because I watched it every day for at least 6 months once. So
Yeah. Well,
it's a lot.
I think that your idea of just kind of hating on nostalgia, which I know it's become quite the machine, but I think that is what drives a lot of definitely one of or two of my guilty pleasures for sure. And I mean, with that, if you don't mind, I'll move on. But I do agree with you on the video game movies. That's one that's always like, you have to see what it is, even though it's probably going to be terrible. And I did look at the IMDb. I haven't seen the House of the Dead.
Yeah,
but moving on to one of my guilty pleasures, and it's a guilty pleasure because a lot of people think this movie is really corny, and nobody would say it's either of the actors' best work, but it's something that I watched when I was a kid. And as soon as I saw it in the discount bin at the video store, I had to pick it up, and I enjoy watching it. Have you ever seen Stuck on You?
When it first came out,
Yeah,
that was it for me.
So it's directed by the Farrelly brothers, and it's got Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear, and they're conjoined twins. And it starts off they're running like a restaurant. Where they're like this really fast quick stop order, a short order cooks, and then they go to pursue one of the twins' dreams to be an actor in Hollywood. And the funny joke is that the other guy, Matt Damon's character, has stage fright, and so because they can join, they have to come up with these ridiculous ways of hiding him. But one of the reasons I love it is because it's one of the few things that I can actually enjoy watching Cher in. And the other reason is because the characters, both the twin characters, are almost imbecilic, but it's not over the top. They're just really lovable characters. But I'll have to loan you that one next time we get together. But or you could just rent it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it came out, and I watched it, and I remember thinking that Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear were funny, but just the movie was grating to me, if I remember right. But this is, I mean, Jesus, that was 12 years ago or something like that.
It came out in 2003. Something like that. 13 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and that's most people's reaction to that movie is they're not super into it. It's not something that they're like, oh yeah, Stuck on You, that's the movie that I like. But it's something that I'm pretty sure my stepdad had in his collection, and it's just like a nostalgic guilty pleasure, like we were talking about a second ago.
Yeah.
So what you got next for me, Jeff?
Well, kind of on that same one. So this is one that I recently rediscovered because I used to hate this movie so much, like hated it, and everybody else likes it. So it's kind of a weird guilty pleasure because the reason it's a guilty pleasure is because it is the embodiment of everything I hate about comedies, and yet.
Can I guess it before finish what you're saying? But I think I want to guess it.
I would that'll be fun. I'll wait until the end. But so it's pretty much just young people partying and hijinks that ensues in this, and it has everything that I hate with like just pandering to a young audience, pandering to what they believe that young people are into, and just for years that I was missing something. So I bought it at an independent records last week, and this isn't even a joke. I've watched it 6 times since then. So,
all right, so
they were correct.
Give me how many years? Because you say years. Is it like old, or is it like kind of in the 2000s area?
Well, it's actually on my TV right now, so I'm going to look at the DVD, and it was 2004.
Well, you say pandering to young people, and it makes me think, and partying, so it makes me think Project X?
No, dude, Project X was like 5 years ago.
Okay, all right.
If that. I think it was like 3.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to see if you can guess this. I will name a couple different themes of this, and you see if you can get it.
Wait. Is this? Did you just fucking Facebook about this? Is it Out Cold?
No.
Okay.
No. I thought about mentioning Out Cold on here, but I think Out Cold is actually just a harmless comedy that I love, so that's not on here. But Eurotrip is what it is. I just fucking fucked it up.
Yeah.
But,
no, that's fine. That's fine. I wasn't gonna guess it. I remember actually that you posted that. I think. Yeah. I like a lot of those weird like 90s like kind of party trip, like road trip, and all those movies are definitely a guilty pleasure for me because that's again a nostalgia thing where I was like I watched those movies when I was like just in high school and like kind of like really dumb like a lot of the high schoolers.
But you know what's weird to me is that I don't think that Road Trip is something that like I actually just like Road Trip. I think it's a fun, just dumb, gross out comedy. But Eurotrip, for some reason, it's an anomaly because it really does irritate me every time I watch it, and yet I love it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the cast because I like Scott. I can never say his last name. Malkowitz, I think, or whatever. Scott. He who is of possible Hebrew descent. He is awesome. He's the main guy in there, and then Michelle Trachtenberg is just. I love her so much.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's a nostalgia thing too. She was in like one of the Nickelodeon movies, Harriet the Spy. Like,
I bet you thought that's when she looked her hottest. You perv. Jason's a perv.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? So, cheers to that.
Cheers to pedophilia?
No, but just cheers.
I don't wanna. I don't wanna do anything close to that.
Back on topic. Yeah, I agree that.
To Michelle Trachtenberg above the age of 18. Corrected.
So back on track. I think that those types of movies are like there was a lot of those types of movies, and I'll give it to you that old school has probably more merit than like Euro Trip or like, I don't know, I couldn't name many more others. But I know there's a 4-pack. They sell all of them in a 4-pack at Walmart for $5. So, but moving on, I'm really interested to hear what you think about my next pick, because there's a solid chance that you watched it in class in high school, and it's not a movie that a lot of people think of as a good movie. I won't give you a lot of. We won't play the guessing game again. But Osmosis Jones is actually, yeah, one that I will put in on the regular to either like just fall asleep to.
Yeah.
If the internet's out, or because normally I just play Netflix, but if the internet's out, Osmosis Jones, I've got it on DVD. One of my favorites.
I agree. I agree 100% because that movie is definitely not something I would say is good, but I love it. I do the same thing. I have it on DVD as well, and I will pop it in a lot.
For one,
I think I have a double feature thing.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember. I think it's actually, you know what? I think it's like Osmosis Jones, Space Jam, which is another one.
Oh, okay.
And then I think it might have 2 others on it. Oh yeah, it's got Looney Tunes Back in Action, and then I think it has Thunderbirds on it, which I've never watched.
All right, so we've got to stop right there because this is a perfect time to talk about.
Okay, before we get to the interview, I need to mention the music. You guys heard 120 by Ideal and Abilities off their album E&A, and you're going to hear Future Dad's Platinum Edition by the Super Mash Brothers off their album Fuck Bitches Get Euros. I chose these songs because they are guilty pleasures of mine personally, both white rappers and mashups. If you guys want to check out more, check out Idea and Abilities. Unfortunately, their lead passed away, so you won't be hearing anything new from them. Or go to supermashbrothers.com and you can download all 4 of their albums for free. So check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Absurdist Asylum. The Facebook has apostrophe S, the Twitter does not. And email us at absurdasylum@gmail.com. On any of those platforms, be sure and tell us what your favorite guilty pleasure movie or TV show is. And thanks for sticking around. All right, so I'm here with the TJ from Lost Highway Brewery, the local brewer here on Colfax, just by my house. I'm sipping on their Golden Ghost, which is actually an award-winning beer from the 2015 Denver International Beer Competition.
2016 World Beer Cup.
2016 World Beer Cup. Oh, yeah, that was the Golden Ghost, but you actually won some medals at the International Denver Beer Competition.
We entered, I entered 4 beers, and when I looked online the next day, we had won 5 medals, and I was like looking it up, and all the beers we won something with that I sent in, but the porter had also won Best of Show for the whole competition, which was interesting because it's just a porter. Usually these days people latch on to the crazy fruit IPAs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the porter is actually the first beer that I tried here, and definitely one of the best porters I've ever had. I'm a big Guinness guy. I love the dark beers. And you guys actually have some very interesting variations on your porters. You have the almond coconut, which tastes just like you're sipping on an Almond Joy. It's amazing. You guys have it every other Thursday?
Yes, every second and fourth Thursday of the month.
Okay.
And it changes up sometimes. I've also made it, instead of with almonds, I've made it with macadamia nuts before. Sometimes it's coconut and espresso. Just kind of, I'll just mix it up every once in a while. Last time, instead of the porter, it was our chocolate stout with coconut and almonds in it, just for the one time.
Okay.
So just kind of something that's sort of the beer that a lot of the local people have latched onto. They really like it. Like you said, I think it's like drinking a candy bar, but it's amazing. People come in and do 3-4 pints of it and not get tired of it.
Yeah, it's really good. And you guys, and if you guys hear the little bit of traffic in the background, the place is right on Colfax. They've got a patio that's opened up to Colfax, like I said, right next to my home. But you guys last time I was here, you showed me a chocolate cherry. That was part of the porter as well?
That was the chocolate stout aged in a whiskey barrel with cherries in it as well.
Now that was almost like another candy beer where it's just
chocolate covered cherry.
real smooth, very sweet, and the cherry wasn't super strong.
No.
But now, how long have you been a brewer? Because you said you've brewed elsewhere?
Yeah. I became a brewer in '97 at a CB and Potts. There was a place, CB and Potts. I was a line cook, and I had volunteered a whole bunch of time in the brewery just because I liked the guys. And when it came time to hire an assistant, they hired me. So from then on, I worked pretty much at a different CB and Potts every day of the week under a different head brewer for 7.5 years. It was after 7 years I was wondering if any of those guys were going to get a new job or die or anything, and they still held on. And finally, the Denver Tech Center brewer left, and I moved there. I was there, and then for a little while I also ran the Highlands Ranch one at the same time when we lost that brewer. So
okay. Now, was I correct in reading that Lost Highway is owned by the same people who own the Cheeky Monk?
Yeah.
Now, how did you come in contact with them?
They were looking to open a brewery, and they had been coming into the place I brewed a lot. I guess they had been asking around just in the brewing community, like looking for somebody, and their original plan was to make a lot of Belgian beers, like kind of in the vein of Cheeky Monk, you know, have that. And I kind of had a reputation for making a lot of Belgian beers at the time. I had gotten pretty lucky at, a couple Great American Beer Festivals. I got some medals for Belgian beers, different North American medals, some different World Beer Championship, a couple others. And so, I guess when they were asking around, they happened to just ask people who knew me really well, and they were like, oh, TJ. So they started coming in and drinking the beers, which at CB and Potts, you don't really get to make all your own beers. You follow a corporate recipe for most of them, but after you make those, then you can make your own recipe. So you can have 2 or 3 of your own recipes on at the time. So they tried my beer, and I assume shopped around for some other people for a while, and then they took me on. And they took me on about in 2013, I think, and it was about a year before this place opened. We had a bunch of construction problems, so I just filled up my time by watching construction people fail, and I did some managing at Cheeky Monk and some other stuff that I didn't really want to do, but when you're getting paid, you got to do it.
Yeah, I remember when this place was being built, it was quite the process watching it and waiting for it to open up. Now, the name Lost Highway, is that just based on Colfax, or is there another reference there?
Nope, Lost Highway is, it's about Colfax. Colfax is the longest continuous street in the United States, and before I-70 came along, it was like the only game in town to get to a bunch of places. So it was interesting because this is the road where most of the really wealthy people lived way back in the day. And then when I-70 opened up, this place kind of did downward spiral. A lot of, strip clubs, just drug problems, like everything. This went from like the wealthy area to like the shittiest in all of Colorado.
Yeah, living on Colfax and Pearl, I am no stranger to the issues around here. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate your beer. Our podcast that we're going to be doing that this is gonna fit into, we're talking about guilty pleasure movies or TV shows. Do you have a movie or a TV show that's considered a bit of a guilty pleasure?
Wow, yeah. I watch a lot of Maiki, Japanese director. It's just obscene violence, especially his older stuff, obscene violence, just over the top craziness. Like, Audition was the first movie I have ever seen by him.
I've seen Audition.
And and Ichi the Killer was another one that I always really liked. I watched those a lot, and one called Dead or Alive, just crazy splatter over the top stuff. And then as far as guilty, is pretty guilty actually, is there's me and a friend of mine, me and her watch, we buy each other what is like the most disturbing things we can find. So I've watched Serbian film with her, the August Underground movies with her, Men Behind the Sun, just real crazy, like takes you a few tries to actually watch them all the way through. For me, I would say what I rewatch most of all in anything is I'm a big Looney Tunes fan. I watch Looney Tunes cartoons over and over. I have them all on DVD. I watch them. And I'm a big Cronenberg fan, especially Naked Lunch and Videodrome are probably the two I watch a lot. I'm also a big William S. Burroughs fan, so Naked Lunch especially I watch a lot.
All right, well, that's definitely some new stuff that I'm going to have to check out. Honestly, it sounds like you'd fit right in with the Absurdist Asylum crew. So I appreciate your time, and maybe we'll have you on in a more casual setting next time, not at your place to work. I appreciate your time, TJ, and thank you very much. Because you mentioned Looney Tunes, I got him to talk about some of his beers, and then I asked him the same question, and he brought up not only a lot of horror films that Jeff, I'm sure, will be into, and the interview will be in here shortly, or it may have just played. We don't know yet. That's the magic of editing.
That's the magic of not knowing what the hell we're doing.
But I'm drinking the Professor Plum beer right now, which is a... oh, God damn it. I was just looking at it. It's kind of like almost like a lager with a bit of a fruity flavor, and I go there for their OG Colfax Porter. We talk about that in the interview. If you're in the Denver area, check out Lost Highway. But we should do a shot to Looney Tunes and TJ for helping us out with that interview.
Yes. Here's to TJ and Michelle Trachtenberg above 18, Jason.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Last time.
That's what I said. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations on that watch list you're on now.
Jeff, if I wasn't already on that watch list because of you, well, then I'm on it now. So,
well said.
All right, Jeff. I laid down Osmosis Jones. That was a winner. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, I am interested to hear your thoughts about what I am going to say.
All right.
Because when it comes to Friday the 13th, I know you are a fan. I know you're a fairly big fan. I am a raging hard-on of a Friday the 13th fan. And I would argue to people who called every single one of them guilty pleasures, I would say that is incorrect. But that's for another time. But the two that I want to specially call out three actually, of Friday the 13th for guilty pleasures are Jason X, Jason Goes to Hell, and Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh my, yep.
Because all three of those I love unconditionally, except for maybe Jason Goes to Hell I like a lot less, but I still love it just because it's so batshit stupid. But goddamn, dude, Jason X is probably the most fun you can have watching a bad movie.
Yep, Jason X. I would completely agree there.
It's so asinine, and I almost hesitate to call it a guilty pleasure because it really is self-aware of what it is, but I just don't think it's self-aware enough to call it.
Is it your favorite word? Is it a little? Well, it's not quite meta, but it knows what it is.
Meta. Yeah.
So, but this is why we're on this show together, Jeff. Is because I refrained from putting Friday the 13th on because I thought it would be too on point, and you you're just like, yep, nope, that's it. That's the ones, and you nailed it down even.
Yeah.
But yes, I had to fight myself from buying a replica Jason mask on the internet this week.
Yeah, dude, my mom of all people, the nicest, most innocent woman on the planet, bought me the Friday the 13th box set that comes with the little Jason mask, and it's funny because it's advertised as like, get your own Jason mask, and you pull it out and it's like the size of your hand, so you can't wear it unless you're like a small person.
Unless you're a baby.
But
babies shouldn't watch Friday the 13th.
When was the last time you watched Jason Goes to Hell?
It was this year for sure. It was.
It's so batshit stupid. Like, just for anybody who has not seen this, I just want to describe certain plot points and know that this is not exaggerated. I'm just going to detail parts of the movie. Jason is about to kill a naked woman at the beginning who turns out to be an undercover FBI agent. So then Jason gets blown up. It turns out his heart is his evil power. So his heart hypnotizes a mortician to eat his heart. Upon eating the heart, he has possessed the mortician. He goes around possessing different people as a bounty hunter is going on national TV saying, I'm going to kill Jason Voorhees, which, by the way, very illegal. It doesn't matter if it's Jason Voorhees. You can't go on TV and say, I'm a murderer, dude, and just expect that to be cool, even if you're a bounty hunter. You don't see Dog the Bounty Hunter going on TV and being like, I'm a murderer, dude, today.
That dude, I'm going to get him.
Yeah, and then all of this kind of snowballs into a hodgepodge of Jason's long lost sister, who's a waitress at a diner, who's like gonna have a baby. It's a whole big thing. And then Jason turns into a worm.
Yup.
And then Freddy Krueger inexplicably pulls him down into hell. Spoiler alert.
Whoa. Didn't see that coming, did you, folks?
Yeah, especially since that doesn't make any sense, because it's not like Freddy Krueger's the guardian of hell. He exists in your dreams. Why is he pulling him into hell? And I like the appearance of the Necronomicon and the Kantarian dagger from Evil Dead that I guess was used without permission.
Yeah. I wasn't
aware. Like Sam Raimi said, yeah, you can use those props. That's totally fine. I'm going to make Spider-Man one day. And then the guy that designed the props was like, did you let that dumb fucking Jason movie use those props that I spent hours on? And he was like, my bad. I'm going to make Spider-Man. And it's the definition of just contrived fuckery.
By the way, I was not aware that you had Sam Raimi in studio with you. Big shout out from Absurdist Asylum. Thanks for being with us, Sam.
Hey, thank you, Jason. I'm gonna make a Spider-Man.
You should not do that anymore.
I made a good Spider-Man.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Jeff, I have a feeling that you're gonna hate me for this.
I already hate you.
Well, yeah, you hate everything, so it's not a big deal to me anymore.
That's
but a guilty pleasure of mine, and my fiance is gonna hear this too. But The Ugly Truth, the Katherine Heigl and Gerard Butler movie.
Fuck you.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that.
Fuck you.
And here's my point. I think the movie is great not because it's a beautiful love story or because Katherine Heigl is I just don't like Katherine Heigl. I was about to say something really mean. But I love it because Gerard Butler's character, they try so hard to interject, like, as a man, there's only, we get deeper on points, but for the most part, my mind only functions on 3 levels, like hungry, horny, sleepy. Right. And it's like, you ask what we're thinking, and generally the answer is nothing. Or it's something so absurd that it's not worth explaining.
Which one of those
hence why we're locked up in this damn asylum.
Which one? Just real quick. Which one of those 3 you said? What was it? Hungry. What were the other 2?
Horny, sleepy.
Which one of those do you feel when you watch Harriet the Spy?
Sleepy.
Yeah. I bet you.
After I watch Harriet the Spy. Well, I can't help it. Rosie O'Donnell is a beautiful woman.
Feel sleepy after. Speaking of, I want to just real quick because I was talking about Euro Trip earlier. Oh, you don't try and cover yourself with Rosie O'Donnell. Lord knows she could. What up? But I wasn't lying about Euro Trip, like literally playing on my TV as we speak.
Yeah.
It was at the part. Do you remember the scene with the robot guy outside of the? That is the worst thing ever. And it's things like this that make me think I hate this movie, but I love it. And I don't understand why. I think this is what being married is like. Because it irritates the shit out of me. And I tell all of my friends that I hate it, and then I go home and just love it to death.
Jeff, you're going to meet a special lady someday, and she's going to hear this podcast, and she's just going to fall even more in love with you, because anybody who gets that deep will not be affected by that.
Anybody that gets that deep about Eurotrip is probably a loser. Is probably correct. But anyway, go on.
Anyways, so I dropped the ugly truth like a bomb on you, and you hate me for it. What you got next?
Well, this isn't a movie. It is a TV series that I have seen every episode of. You might already know where I'm going with this, but I've seen... The show ran for, I think it was 6 or 7 seasons. Definitely not a small number of episodes in each season. I've seen every single episode of this entire show. Do you know what I'm talking about, Jason?
6 or 7 seasons. No, I do. Honestly, I can't say.
I'll give you a hint. Gossip Girl here. Your one and only source for the scandalous lives of Manhattan's elites.
For real?
That's not even kidding.
My fiance loves the shit out of that show. She has literally been watching it. Are you watching Gossip Girl right now?
I'm really pissed
no,
off.
she's watching Orange is the New Black, but she was watching Gossip Girl earlier.
Good. Good.
Stop with the fact that...
Anyways.
Wipe her up. Wipe her up,
That's
Jason.
what I was saying. Yeah, wife her. He says wife. I have.
That's true.
I've put a ring on it, per se.
Good.
Beyonce Lemonade, # Illuminati.
Here's the thing about Gossip.
Okay, go.
Here's the thing. Gossip Girl is a show about awful people being awful for no other reason than because they are rich and awful. And that is the entire premise of the show. They play these horrible, terrible, terrible, like, social games with each other for no real reason than because they're all terrible. Even, like, the main character who's supposed to be, like, the kind of, like, oh, he's an everyman who just got swept up into this world. He's fucking terrible, too. Everybody is terrible. They have a baby. It's terrible. They get, like, if there's a dog on that show, chances are it's driving somebody to suicide off camera. Like, everybody on the show is a piece of shit, and it's awesome.
Yes. So I just told Lizzie that you like Gossip Girl, and she almost shat herself.
Good.
But
good.
Yeah.
It's just the best sort of trash television you can possibly watch.
Yeah, well, I've watched some of it, and I kind of figured that your obsession with it was that you might have wished you were Ryan Reynolds and you had an obsession with Blake Lively. But you gave me a better explanation than I expected. So
you know who's in Gossip Girl? Who's my favorite character?
Who's that?
She's only in a couple seasons in select episodes, but Michelle Trachtenberg, above 18, so you better check out. But she's definitely in that. And what's interesting is usually I end up watching like terrible things because I find out she's in it. This I had no idea she was on this show. So one day I'm just watching it thinking like, man, what kind of man am I to watch this show alone in my house? And then all of a sudden, Michelle Trachtenberg came on, and all of a sudden, everything was right.
Yeah, that sounds like a Jeff.
It's kind of like when you watch Harriet the Spy, you perv.
I was just saying that is something that I remembered her from.
We got like 15 to 20 more minutes of me making you seem like a sex pervert, so you better get used to it.
Well, anyways, speaking of mental illness, you and Maria Bamford have something in common. Have you watched Lady Dynamite, Jeff?
No.
Do you know Maria Bamford's comedy at all?
No, I was just gonna ask you who that is.
Oh, she's a comedian. She kind of has a very unique style in her comedy where it's not. So here's what she did that might kind of sum it up for you. She did one of her specials in her parents' living room in front of her parents, and it was super fucking awkward, but it was hilarious. I can't remember the name of the special right now, but she's got a new show on Netflix called Lady Dynamite, and it is, to say the least, off the wall. I mean, anything from talking pugs to like crazy celebrity cameos to, I don't know. You should really check it out. And the reason why it's a guilty pleasure for me is because I tried watching it with Lizzie, and she just didn't. It didn't take. We'll put it that way. So I had to watch it like when I got home late from work, and she was like sleeping. I just put on my headphones and watch it because it's like the intro is kind of loud. But anyways, and so that's one of the reasons why that's a guilty pleasure for me, is because I had to like, it was kind of, I had to like watch it in secret when nobody else wanted to use the TV because, well, it's just me and Lizzie that share the TV, but it was something that I enjoyed doing, and I had to kind of like take it in as a secret.
I just looked her up. I definitely recognize her from a bunch of stuff. I do remember her. I didn't know anything about this show though until you just told me.
Yeah, check it out.
Sounds like something I'd be into.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. It's crazy, and it's not anything like. It's not anything that's like anything else. Yeah, it's not anything that's like anything else out there, especially not on Netflix. Maybe the closest thing that I could relate it to that's like really off the wall is like something like Arrested Development, where it's like there's like really weird callbacks to like weird episodes like a while ago back in the, you know what I mean? So it's like, but it even takes a step further than Arrested Development, where, yeah, check it out. It's a great show. All right. So do you have another one?
That was a winning endorsement, to be sure. And yes, I do. Going on kind of like a different sort of plane on here. I mean, you could name a lot of these, but I've grown up this way too. But like, I always watched Sci-Fi Channel original movies from forever. I don't even remember when I first started watching these, but a lot of people say things like Sharknado and, you know, like the really popular ones that most people kind of know about, but I can't even pick a favorite. I have one of my favorite movies of all time is a Sci-Fi Channel original, but I wouldn't call it a guilty pleasure, so I don't even want to mention it. But just Sci-Fi Channel original movies in general, let's just group those in as one movie, and that's probably my number one guilty pleasure, because I just cannot get enough of those, and I don't know why, because 90% of them aren't even worth watching in like a funny, bad way. But the 10% that is, I think, is well worth it. But I wanted to steer away from that. This is something that if you've never watched this, it's going to change your life.
Okay.
It's a little difficult to find because last I checked it's not on DVD. I had a VHS copy of it forever, but
that's gone now because you masturbated to it too many times.
No, it's not you with Harriet the Spy. Well, bam!
Bam!
But it's what was I saying before?
Your VHS copy of Harriet the Spy.
Oh yeah. So I have it on VHS. It recently aired on the El Rey network, which is awesome because I had never, along with its sequels that I've actually never seen. But it is Snake Eater with Lorenzo Lamas.
Okay.
Are you familiar at all with Lorenzo Lamas?
I mean, I like llamas. I don't like it when they spit.
Boo!
No, I unfortunately.
Get off the stage.
Continue.
Okay, so Lorenzo Lamas, just to kind of sum it up, he was his big roles were he was in Grease as the jock guy that Sandy goes out with. Doesn't go out with, but just kind of like when her and Danny are, fighting, Is any of this making sense? Am I just a big girl? Anyway,
I'm looking. No, I know. I don't know the character, but I know the movie, and I know like which. I'm looking. I'm looking him up now. Go ahead and continue speaking.
He was on a soap opera called Falcon Crest that nobody remembers, and then he was on a show called Renegade that nobody remembers, and then in the process of all of this, he starred in hundreds of just like B-level action movies. He's awesome. Snake Eater is the touching tale that tries to merge like a 80s sort of fast-talking, witty, like Mel Gibson and Lethal Weapon type of renegade cop with the loveliness that is something like The Hills Have Eyes or Last House on the Left. Basically, it is a tonally confused movie about a renegade cop who does crazy shit to apprehend the culprits in ways that are just so goddamn illegal. It's insane, and nobody bats an eye. There's a scene at the very beginning where he's an undercover cop, and he's always a cop, but he's undercover in this drug deal, and they pull out guns and aim it at him, and he pulls he pulls a lever or like a string that's just hanging there from the ceiling, and a bunch of spikes come up out of the floor and stab the people in the feet, and then he's just like, "You're under arrest." And it's like, I don't think you can do that, man. Why did you pick those?
It's a good line.
But so he's doing all kinds of things like that, and being just like a fun-loving cop, ha ha ha. And then his family is brutally murdered by a backwoods clan, and I think it's supposed to be like this horrific, like horrible thing, like this guy lost his family. But then Lorenzo Lamas is playing the rest of the movie like nothing happened. He's still like joking around, like ha ha ha, my whole fucking family is dead, ha ha ha, and just like. Going through using his martial arts and tough ex-soldier skills to go into the hills and just murder everybody. And it is cinematic bliss.
Well, I mean, that's another thing that you and the brewer have in common is he was super into just like mindless violence. And I can watch it, but I don't watch it that much because I watch what, when I watch movies, I usually watch it with my lady, and she's not into that kind of stuff.
Dude, I could talk for hours about the B-level action movies that I watch.
And it's funny that you mentioned Lorenzo Lamas because he's been in things like American Dad, Phineas and Ferb, and then stuff like What Would WWJD, What Would Jesus Do? The Journey Continues, and God's Club, and like these like really like odd Christian movies that like you'd think that if it meant that much to him, the like grace of God, like these movies like if it meant that much to him, they'd like they'll do a little bit of research, but like no, we want that guy, the guy that kills everybody.
Yeah, what better thing for your Christian propaganda movie than somebody who murders a backwoods clan and bangs a girl on a boat?
Wow, see, there you go. So speaking of mindless violence, Jeff, are you familiar with Red versus Blue?
I am.
Yes. This is another guilty pleasure that is for the same reason that Lady Dynamite is that I generally can't watch it with my fiance because one, she's seen the season that I have a billion times over, but two, now that it's on Netflix, it's just not her thing. And I was actually surprised to learn that they were first on YouTube 11 years ago, and then they're still in production. They're about to hit season 14, or season 14 is just out. I couldn't quite make it out.
I didn't know they were still going.
Yeah, neither did I. I'm gonna have to check it out. That's Red versus Blue. It was a internet, I don't know, like a YouTube thing. Now they have their own like channel on or they have their stuff on Netflix. But Rooster Teeth Productions, and what they basically do is they take the multiplayer from Halo and they turn them into characters. They make them talk, fight, shoot each other. It's basically like a military sitcom. Would that like describe it well, Jeff?
Um, I mean, I guess I would say more of like I would replace sitcom with spoof. I guess it's not. Fuck it. We'll go with what you said.
All right. Well, we don't have to be perfect here. We're just shouting into the ether right now. So you're a fan. What far have you gotten? Because I have the season 5 DVD, and when I bought that, I was told that was the end of it, season 5. They're on season 14. I have missed out.
My whole thing with it, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a big fan of it, because my thing is I first saw that show on one of those free demo discs that I got with PlayStation Magazine, or not PlayStation Magazine, Electronic Gaming Monthly. That's what it was. Way back in the day. This is like
What? I'm sorry. Did Trevor Canoia just like yell and shout? I think somebody was yelling at you, and it might have been Trevor. I'm sorry. Continue.
All right, I don't know what's happening, but I got that like a demo disc with Electronic Gaming Monthly or something. That shows you how long ago this was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the episode I saw was hilarious, but I think it was just like a bonus thing. I don't think it was actually part of the series. And then when I started watching that show on G4, I think.
Oh my goodness, G4.
Yeah, it was on G4.
That was a guilty pleasure when I was in high school. I'd love to come and turn that thing on.
Yeah, believe me, I know. But most of that show to me is like a flat line, and then there's moments that it is hilarious. I don't think it really has any in between. Like, it's either a flat line or it's hilarious. So sometimes it's worth it to watch it for the few parts that I think it just like hits totally. And then for the most part, though, I just kind of sit wishing that I was elsewhere.
All right. Well, let me tell you, one of the reasons that I love that show is because you don't have to watch it to understand what's going on. Sometimes, but there's very few moments that you can't understand what's happening by the dialogue, and so that's one of the shows that I also put on to fall asleep to, because I can just picture what's going on in my mind. Like, that's one of the shows that I didn't have to like memorize, like a Futurama. I've watched Futurama so many times. Like, I won't even get into that. I've watched Futurama so many times that I could picture it in my mind. But Red versus Blue, you don't really have to see what's going on. I haven't watched the new seasons, but up until season 5, I've almost got like visually memorized, so the audio just brings it back. Yeah. But do you have another guilty pleasure, Jeff? I've got one more, if not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got tons. So,
all right.
But one that this is a guilty pleasure because it's such an oddball of a movie that really only fits in like a very specific group, like a very specific demographic. So I guess we'll just throw it in as a guilty pleasure. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is a guilty pleasure for sure. It's called Tokyo Gore Police, and it's this movie. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the dude's name, but this guy who I think is just either a crazy person or a genius or both. The plot of Tokyo Gore Police is it's hard to even explain. The long and short of it is there are certain mutant people that when you cut off their limbs, their bodies turn them into weapons. So, like, for instance, a guy's arm gets cut off and his hand and arm turns into a cannon.
Awesome.
On the flip side, a woman gets cut right at her vagina level.
Wow.
And so she turns into an alligator.
Wow. At the vagina?
Yeah. And then there's
wow.
There's a
what
man.
The fuck?
There's a man who gets his penis severed by the alligator, the vaginal alligator, the vagigator woman.
Yep.
So
Once bitten, twice shy.
yeah, his penis turns into a heat-seeking dick cannon. This is all shown in full detail.
Does it seek other dicks?
You know, it's never specified. I don't remember him shooting any women though, so it is possible.
Okay.
But it is by far the bloodiest movie I've ever seen. There's a part where there's so much blood that you can't even see the background anymore. It's just a haze of red.
Nice.
But the one thing that I want to mention, because the reason I almost say that this isn't a guilty pleasure is because the humor and satire of it is so perfect that it's so much more clever than what I just told you would indicate. But if you're watching it, it's just like a weird, just maniacal, nonsensical, gory comedy. But I think it's actually pretty clever. But I highly recommend, if that's not your kind of thing, I recommend you at least YouTube Tokyo Gore Police and just watch one or two scenes that people have posted just to get an idea.
That is most definitely doable. I spent a ridiculous amount of time on YouTube.
I would say do it. I would definitely say if you have a chance to watch the whole movie, watch it. I bought it. It was a blind buy for me because I buy DVDs. I just looked at the cover and I was like, what the hell is this? And I read it and I was like, whatever. So I paid $13.99 for it at a Best Buy. I remember. And it was the best $13.99 I've ever spent.
We need to do a blind buy episode because I bet you've got a few and I've got a few. But I will check out Tokyo Gore Police. Moving on, I want to talk about my next guilty pleasure. I am interested to hear what you have to say about this. It's a guilty pleasure on the grounds that when I bring this up to most people, I either get an eyeball roll or a fuck yeah. And this I could if I had all of the season, it's a TV show and a movie, and I'll let you guess this one if you want, Jeff. It's a TV show and multiple movies, almost 4 if you count the bonus content movies they released, and it also sparked a couple of different TV shows, or at least nope.
Damn it! Keep describing
it's definitely a comedy.
Damn it! Just keep describing it. I want to actually guess it.
A group of friends that make jackasses of themselves. Oh my! No, it's Jackass. Yeah, it's Jackass. It's Jackass. Do you not like Jackass?
I kind of like some of Jackass.
Don't lie, Jeff.
I kind of like some of Jackass. That's the most you're getting out of me.
Alright, so Jackass has spawned my obsession with I furiously watch fail videos because Jackass is no longer on television.
Right.
And it almost fills the void, and I realize that Johnny Knoxville and Steve-O, and I know you have your qualms with Steve-O.
Steve-O's a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Chris Pontius, Wild Boys, Ryan Dunn, who
I really liked Ryan Dunn.
Yeah, anniversary of his death was not that long ago. Yeah. Just a couple weeks ago.
Wait, what?
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, or last week.
Wait, who?
Ryan Dunn.
Ryan Dunn is like 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
The anniversary of his death.
Oh, the anniversary. Okay, this makes way more sense. I thought you were like, he recently
Cheers
died.
to Ryan Dunn. No, yeah, the anniversary of his death was just a week or two ago.
I was gonna say, you need to refresh your news page.
Check your browser, buddy.
Refresh your home page.
But, like, All right, so this is one of the fondest memories I have of my grandpa on my mom's side. My mom's father, flipping through channels one night while he's sitting on his recliner, I'm sitting on the couch. Jackass is on the television. I let it be because I'm holding the controller. He starts, like, not quite dying, but, like, having a great time watching this show. And I'm like, and this is another thing that kind of brings me to Tosh.0, is I watched Tosh.0 with my dad and my mom one time. Like, these shows, like, everybody loves watching people get hurt. It doesn't matter. Like, everybody will scoff at it afterwards, like, oh, no, that wasn't that funny. But it's like, I have vivid memories of you laughing. And it's, like I said, spawned obsession with watching fail videos.
Yeah. I find fail videos to be not my favorite of things, but
do you not like watching people get hurt, or you just don't like the idea?
You know, I don't know. I do and I don't. I do enjoy the occasional, guy blowing himself up with or like guy blowing himself. Whatever people send to me. But
that's Jeff. No, I'm just kidding.
but I as far as Jackass goes, I think this is what it comes down to. I have a very intense hatred for prank humor, and like I just hate it. I hate pranks in general, and I really hate prank humor, and so I get really irritated at a lot of their shit. That being said, I laugh when Spike Jonze is the old lady. That's always funny.
Yeah.
Johnny Knoxville is always funny as the grandpa, and yeah, yes, I've seen Bad Grandpa. Yes, I laughed. No, I don't really care to ever watch it again, but I did laugh when I saw it. But I think the Jackass movies are the best way I can put it, because Jackass 1 I don't like at all. Jackass 2, there are moments that I think are funny, and then most of 3 I actually do like. So
it's funny, we've been talking about Lizzie almost on that one. Jackass 3 was 3D was one of our first dates.
Was just so you guys watched a guy just like shit all over a model train set? Was that one?
Yep, that's a match made in heaven right there. That's how I knew I loved her.
You
and then we went and watched Life as We Know It, and it was god awful.
You guys should make that that horrible Coca-Cola commercial that plays before the movies, where like the kid goes on that date and his parents are talking about their first date, and they're inadvertently describing the date that the kids are on. Have you ever seen this commercial?
No.
Oh my god, you're lucking out, because it's the worst thing that's ever been created by people. But so it actually doesn't matter, because you're not going to get any of these references. So I guess I'm just going to spin this by saying that commercial is garbage, and I hope whoever was the marketing person that created that commercial is to be hung.
Well, on that note, Jeff, do you have any more guilty pleasures that you want to talk about?
I could talk all night, but I have a feeling we should not. So I will.
Well, let's give it a cheers. Raise your glass to the guiltiest pleasure of all. A little drinky poo. And we'll say goodnight, Jeff. You wanna clink your glass? I'll make the sound. Clink, clink.
Yep.
Good night, folks. Thanks for coming to the Asylum. Check out Lost Highway Brewery if you're in Denver, and we'll catch you next time.
Michelle Trachtenberg wasn't 18 in Harriet and the Spy.
Yeah, Peter will be back. He is doing his finals, so wish him luck. And
I hope he fails. I hope he gets kicked out.
Oh, that's recorded.
I hope he drops out. Hey, Peter, when you listen to this, fuck you.
Feeling like a pimp, nigga, gon' brush your shoulders off. Ladies is pimps too, gon' brush your shoulders off. Niggas is crazy, baby, don't forget that boy told you, kid. That, dirt up your shoulder, you got a kid. That, dirt up your shoulder, you got a kid. That, dirt up your shoulder, you got a kid. That, dirt up your shoulder, you got a kid.
throw it on the models.
Go, go,
Shut up, bitch, swallow.
your homie. Go, go,
March it up,
your homie.